Welcome back, you guys. To celebrate the release of Lindsay Sung's new cake book, I am making this adorable fox cake. If you want to get your hands on a copy of her book, which is called Coco Cake Land, you can either click the link below, which will take you to Amazon where you can purchase it, or you should be able to find it in your local bookstore. I had so much fun making this cake because I tried out both her simple buttercream recipe and her vanilla cream cake recipe. So I'm using 3 8-inch cake layers here, and I'm frosting a pretty generous layer of my orange buttercream onto this cake. I then smoothed it using my large offset spatula, and I repeated this process with my remaining cake layers. So since this is only 3 cake layers, it's not going to be quite as tall as my normal cakes, but it's perfect because we don't want our fox to be super tall. We really want to focus on having a lot of surface area on top of the cake to create his adorable face. So once I had stacked my cake layers, I worked on my crumb coat just like always. I added some orange buttercream to the side of the cake, and I added some white buttercream to the top of the cake because we want his eye area to be white. I love that I'm assuming that this fox is a boy, but I do want to name him in the end, so if you have any great ideas, let me know in the comment section below. I used my bench scraper to get my crumb coat really nice and smooth both on the sides and on the top of the cake, and I then chilled the cake in the freezer for about 5 minutes until the frosting was firm to the touch. To add the fur onto the cake, I'm using a Wilton 234 tip, which is one of the few grass tips that they make. So there's a few different kinds, but this is the one that I had on hand. So I added some orange frosting into a piping bag and piped fur around the entire side of the cake. And once it was covered, I traced the outline of the fox's face before I began piping. This just makes it so much easier to make sure that your face is symmetrical and that everything is spaced out the way you want it to be. So using the same piping tip, I piped around the eye area and then filled in the top of the fox's face. Adding all of this fur onto the cake is quite a workout for your hand, and if it does get tired, it's fine to take a break, or if your frosting gets a little bit warm or too thin, you can always pop it in the fridge for a couple minutes just to help it firm up. You can also wrap a paper towel or a hand towel around your piping bag to help minimize the transfer of heat from your hand to your frosting. Next, it was time to add on the facial features to our fox, and Lindsay's book is so amazing. It has such great detail in regards to how to create the fondant details. So guys, I really recommend checking out her book. It is so fantastic and helpful. So I added on the fox's eyes and his nose, and I then pressed the ears onto the sides of the cake. So I'm using toothpicks to help secure them and make sure they really stay in place. And I then piped a little bit of orange fur around the edges just to complete the look. I was so happy with how this cake turned out, and I really did my best to make it look just like Lindsay's fox cake. So now it's time to cut in and get to try out that new recipe, the vanilla cream cake and Lindsay's buttercream recipe. I really enjoyed how the cake tasted. The frosting isn't quite as sweet as my buttercream is, but that makes me feel like I can eat more of it, so I really enjoyed getting to eat this slice once I cut in. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like button, and if you want to check out Lindsay's new book, don't forget the link is included below.